A very good afternoon to all our viewers today. Today we have with us a very renowned and he has been working in the space of CSR.
I think she's not there.
Yeah, some connectivity issue.
Yes. I think let's wait for her.
Okay, sure.
She says it's network problem. She's getting back. I think let's wait for her.
I'm sorry, I've been facing few network issues.
No issues, Harshita.
Okay, we are live on YouTube. So a very good evening to all our viewers. Today we have with us a very young, dynamic, passionate person who has worked in the space of sustainability and CSR for more than 2 decades and has enriched experience in fundraising with national, international organizations. We would like to welcome Mr. Ravi Agrawal, Head of CSR, AE Finance, AYE Finance. Welcome, sir.
Yes, it's called iFinance.
All right. So, sir, you in a short span of time, you have achieved so much in your life. In the past 2 decades of experience in the development sector, we see that you have raised substantial funds for various organizations you worked with, including successful proposal bidding from European Union and other national and international agencies. You have vast experience in fundraising also. So can you give some important tips for all the small NGOs in these trial times who are looking for raising funds?
Yes, sure, Harshita. Is my voice clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, as you know that I have been working for last 2 decades now. Started my career from the grassroots NGO in Rajasthan in way back in 2003, and it has been almost 18, 19 years that I am working in this space. And I have worked across with various NGOs and government organization, national, international organizations, and all my throughout my career in each of my organization, I have done fundraising as a very important role in my job. And it is very important for an organization. My tips, if you are asking, is that one has to be very connected to the ground. See, when we are connected to the ground, when we know the community, then only we can develop any proposal. For example, recently I developed a proposal on clean energy, rights-based clean energy solutions in Jharkhand. I come from Jharkhand, and I connected with so many NGOs out there, got lot of data, got lot of information, met with the government authorities. It takes lot of time to develop a proper proposal, and especially for the agencies like European Union. First, you have to develop a concept note, and that concept note is so crisp, and it has to be like each word has to be thought very carefully, and in each word has to have a meaning, and then only you see the concept note of this kind get passed. And once the concept note is passed or the idea is passed, then you go for a larger proposal. So my advice is that you go in the ground, go deep dive into the what are the real challenges, and if you find the real challenges, then only get into a proposal. It is not for the sake of proposal that you are making a proposal, but for the need of the community, that is important that we make a proposal, and we do it with whole passion, whole heart. See, when I write a proposal, I spend 2 months, day in and night, sleeping over the proposal. How each and every line has to be, it has crafted. It has to be written in such a language that the reader is attracted to your proposal, and then only you get a proposal worth millions. Like no, it is very hard, but it is possible if you are dedicated. And many NGOs, I find that fundraising is a very hard task because they want to get it very easily. See, it is not easy. It has to be. It has a very like no. You have to burn your midnight oil, do a lot of hard work, and also at the same time, apart from the proposal writing, there are other ways also, like fundraising. It is just like friend raising. Okay, we have to make friends whenever we go to any donor, when we go to any CSR corporate house, then the NGOs or the small agencies or even us, we also make friendship. Whenever I met KK Upadhyay, I gave my card to him. So that is a natural way a fundraiser has to do. We have to be open-minded. We have to be forthcoming without any hesitation that this is the work I do. Because see, ultimately, I am not doing it for my own. It is for the community. If you think of the community, that this community will get the benefit, then ultimately, I think you will get the success. That are the few tips. We have to be very, very passionate about our work and be connected to the right people. There is a lot of opportunity. Digital, I tell you, the whole LinkedIn is a whole vast, like no, it is a source of directory of many donors and right people. So we have to be positive, make friends, and then fundraise. It is friend raising, then fundraising. That's my tips.
Friend raising, then fundraising. What a phrase. So what is the present focus of iFinance?
Okay. So regarding iFinance, I would say it is a fintech company, and it provides loan to several micro enterprises all over India. And we have more than 200 branches all over India as a parent company. And then we started this foundation that is called Foundation for the Advancement of Micro Enterprises. This foundation is a Section 8 company, and we are doing the CSR funding. All the CSR fund are routed through this. Just give me a second. All the CSR funds are routed through this foundation. So that is the whole setup. And the focus, what we thought when we did a brainstorming, we thought that there are a lot of micro enterprises in India. If you see, there are more than like, I would say 63, just a second. There are 63 million micro enterprises in India. And they are manufacturing more than 600 products. And what you see that most of these micro enterprises, when we talk about them, we always talk about funding. There are funding challenges, but what about other challenges? There are knowledge challenges, challenges related to product development, technology know-how. There are challenges related to market linkages. Who will address this? So if you see the whole ecosystem, there are very few players who are working on this subject or this aspect that our foundation is trying to work upon. And it is a very new subject. It is not like health, education, or livelihood that we are working, but we are working on the micro enterprise development, because micro enterprise can create a lot of job opportunity. They have the potential. So if we are working for their development, if we are able to change the life of micro enterprise, if we are able to create, if we are able to scale it up, then it will make a huge difference in the job scenario in India. So that is the focus. We are working on specific sectors like dairy sector in several states. We are working in Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and Haryana. And these projects now, Harshita, we are doing directly, because we want the CSR's money to be spent very wisely. And we want that what is happening, we have to see. And obviously, we are also collaborating with the NGOs, those who are related or relevant to us in the work that we do. It is not that we are transferring the whole amount of CSR to any NGO, but we have our own team, and we are working on the dairy sector. As I told you, we are working on the footwear sector, because there also, if you see in Agra and Kanpur, many places there are works related to footwear. A lot of artisans are involved, and very big brands are also taking the products from them. But what margin, what kind of money they are earning, that is important, and how do we help them? Then we are also working on the sports sector. You know that there are clusters where sports, football, and all these cricket equipments are made. So there are a lot of artisans involved in all these things, and we have to see that how we are helping these artisans. And apart from this footwear and sports, we are also recently we started our new pilot project on the Kirana development. There are small Kirana shops, all over India, all over rural India. If you see, every corner has a Kirana store. But who is giving them the training? Who is giving them the knowledge? How can they scale up? So that is the vision. That is the big dream we have in mind, that we will work for these kind of micro enterprise. We will focus on women entrepreneurship, so that there are certain manufacturing sector where only the dominance of men is there. So how we can increase women's participation, women's role in the manufacturing. Now we are planning to start one shoe manufacturing unit by women. So that is the first of its kind that we are thinking. So this is a short idea that iFinance is doing the CSR work, especially focus on the micro enterprise development.
Wonderful. So that's so you are working to build Atmanirbhar Bharat. I must say that.
Yes,
So during the COVID time, it has been really difficult for not only large scale but also micro enterprises and MSMEs to the entire economy. So what are your initiatives to cope up with that?
So COVID, Harshita, we all know how I stay in Delhi, and it was the worst scenario that all of us have seen. How the people are walking, migrants are walking from one city to their hometowns back. It was very sad and bad situation. Even I started my own community kitchen from my own home. First of all, I started my own charity, because instead of going to the office, first let's start from home. So me and my wife, we started community kitchen from my home. And then talking about our foundation, we did a lot of work on the COVID scenario, especially for the micro enterprise and the dairy farmers. So we have conducted several awareness camps, awareness sessions, because in the rural area, sometimes they don't get these messages properly. So in each of our meetings, we have done the how to do social distancing, how to use masks, sanitizers. We have distributed masks, sanitizers, and also told them why social distancing is very important. Even we have promoted vaccination, like how they should go for vaccination, because there is a lot of fear among people that vaccination is very risky and dangerous. So that kind of awareness we have done. Apart from that, we have also awarded the Corona frontline workers in 200 locations. We organize programs, and we have invited the nurse, doctors, police officials, and we have gave them proper recognition that so important work you have done during Corona COVID times. And even our staff have donated to the PM relief, this PM fund, so that the some amount is given there and some amount is directly distributed by us. So this is a small work, but I think very meaningful in our project areas.
Absolutely, sir. So furthering to your questions that you all also work with NGOs. So since you work with on all the dimensions, from the funding agency to the corporate CSR to also helping out the NGOs, where do you see the gap between the trust level that people feel, and do you think the new amendments that have been made in the law, does it helps the corporates to identify the right set of NGOs?
Yes. So see, I started my career from the NGOs in the grassroots, and I saw the challenges there in Rajasthan, tribal areas. NGOs are mostly many times unorganized. They don't have fixed funding. Projects are not sure when they will come, when they will go. FCRA funding is reducing in India. Several challenges are there. And in spite of that, I tell you, NGOs are there. Some of the NGOs are doing very commendable work. And I am really salute to all those NGOs who are really working very hard in the ground level, in the grassroots level. And then you come to the next development player, the bigger development player, the government. Government is a huge structure, and government has to take care of the law of the land, that it is properly followed. Many times the NGOs are flouting these rules and regulations. There are so many numbers. If you see 30 lakh NGOs are there, all people, all kind of a institution are called NGOs. Even the religious RWAs, everybody is called NGO. So we are so bad name. Anything happens anywhere, NGO is done. So it is the development sector is a different world. We see development NGOs are different NGOs. They are not like RWAs. They are not like sports or religious agency. We come from a development NGO side. So I have a very very sweet sweet memories working in the NGOs. And also I always protect NGOs. I always tell no, there can be some bad NGOs, but generally NGOs are very good. See, they have to survive. They are fighting. They are doing a lot of good work. They have to sustain themselves. All these things are there. There are a lot of scenarios, things we have to, and definitely government has put lot of compliance. You see the recent all these laws, 12A, ATG, FCRA, SBI bank account opening, all is fine. All is fine. I tell you, everything is fine. Everything is good. It must be done. Any bad NGO should be thrown out. It should be stopped. Okay. But the good NGOs, they should not suffer, because they are doing very good work. I tell you, in Corona also, everybody recognize that NGO are very important. And if they don't work, the whole system might collapse. So government need NGO, NGO needs FCRA, and both government funding, foreign funding also is needed, because there are a lot of international donors are also present. So we need a synergy. And I tell you, I have worked a lot with the international countries and agencies. What I request maybe that government also should take care of this scenario, and they should provide platform for the collaboration and the trust building. Even NGOs are trying, organization like WANI or these other NGOs are trying to bridge the gaps. I was also in several of this meeting with the WANI and all. We tell always that we should talk more and more. The NGO should talk more with the CSR. Their languages are different. They speak different language, they speak different language. Everybody is speaking different language. So we should understand and respect each other and give space to each other. That is the duty. That is the must. And I tell you, in foreign countries, I have seen government is providing these platforms where NGOs come, where CSR come, where government authorities come. They listen to the voices of NGO. They involve them in the committees. In the best of the committees, I tell you, very good NGOs representatives are involved and their voices are taken notice. So all this is a challenge. It is a trust deficit, but it will go. I tell you, CSR, this act is a very wonderful thing that has happened in India, where a lot of CSR, I am working in CSR, and I see that they are also very seriously learning what is the development sector, how the work is happening apart from the profit, how other activities, how they are so much engaged in even our MD, Mr. Sanjay Sharma, he is also engaged in the discussions, what you're doing, how you're doing. All this is a very good symptoms. It is a very good sign for the future. And I think the trust will slowly go away. In the coming days, it is a very good development sector that is going to become.
So since you mentioned about building up a platform, I would like to mention that we have built a platform known as SDG Cart, in which we are furthering the cause of sustainable development goals. So all the social entrepreneurs or even the NGOs, if they have these kind of products on education, on sanitation, on healthcare, we are helping them to list and provide a forward linkage, not only to B2C, which is a very crowded market, but also B2B, which is mostly the corporate foundations or international aid agencies when they want to find what are the innovative solutions. Do you think platforms like these would enable you all to reach out to wider audience or accelerate your vision?
See, I tell you, Harshita, market is the biggest problem for any product. Person can develop a product or a commodity. I am working with the shoe sector. I am working with the dairy sector. They are not getting the right price. Okay. They are not able to get the right price. And if we are able to connect these people, any commodity, any product that we are having, if we are able to connect them with the right market in an ethical manner, I tell you, it is a very wonderful job that you are doing. And we are ready to collaborate. We have the products also, and shoes are there. Wonderful shoes are there. Wonderful sports goods are there. So I would be happy to connect with you. And also, let's explore how we can do more on these things.
Wonderful, sir. I'll reconnect with you on this. Now, IICSR is a dedicated research, development, and training institution. What subjects do you see that the present manpower requires in CSR and sustainability, and what should be instilled in the upcoming manpower, younger generation who would be joining the workforce?
Okay. So, see, I myself have done a CSR course from Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs from Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee. So I am also from the first batch. I did my course from there. And I'm very happy to see that IICSR is also doing a wonderful course, because CSR is now coming to take the very front seat. In the coming days, you are seeing it is very important that every company will have its own foundation or its own team, and they are giving to NGOs also, but I think in the future they will try to take the own team on their own. So it is a very good and important subject that you have taken up. And apart from the CSR and sustainability, one aspect is responsible business. That is beyond CSR. We should not only talk about 2% CSR, but beyond CSR, what are the ethics? What are the supply chain mechanism? Is the supply chain clean? Is there child labor? Is there any kind of problem in any kind of human right violation, any environment damage that the company is doing? I have worked a lot on these sectors. So it is very important subject. Responsible business, which is bigger one, bigger subject. We should teach them, whether it is a textile sector or any sports sector. Bigger companies are there. We all have to behave responsibly and see to it that the people, planet, all these 3 Ps are taken care. Because if we are not taking care, ultimately this 2% is very, very less. And yeah, obviously another things I would like to mention, another buzzword or another important thing is the digital marketing. I don't know you are covering that or not, but digital marketing, another space where you see the importance of all these technology companies, all are growing very high. If you see daily basis, Infosys, TCS, why they are working, Tata Elxsi, all these are going very high and high. And coming days, especially in the Corona days, we don't know when the Corona will go. But technology is going to remain, and the student must learn to adapt technology, how to use them, how to be on the virtual world also. It is not only for entertainment, but for useful purposes.
I
So
totally
digital
agree.
marketing, yeah, digital marketing is one such subject maybe. And obviously, you must be covering other aspects like project management, logical framework approach, theory of change, which is another new subject that is used by international agencies nowadays. So these kind of subjects are very important. And we are happy to collaborate whenever you want to call us for anything. We are very ready. We are always ready to
Thank
come
you.
up.
Thank you so much. On this note, I like my fellow panelists to come forth and ask questions. Dr. Upadhyay, Dr. Hopkins. I see that Dr. Hopkins has already written the set of questions. So, sir, would you like to come forth and discuss?
Oh, thank you, Harsha. Yeah, I'm also multitasking today, as it happens, like you always do, Harsha. And in fact, I was actually talking to a young entrepreneur in the fashion business, and she's actually selling fashionable shoes and so on. And then when Ravi mentioned shoes, my ears pricked up, and I thought it'd be good somehow to get together in some way. So Ravi, my first question, I wrote down 3 other questions, but this one it interests me because I was multitasking on it, which is what sorts of shoes do you deal with?
Okay, could you repeat the last sentence? I missed last sentence.
Yes, what types of shoes does your NGO work on?
Oh. So in Agra. Agra, as you know, Taj Mahal is famous for Taj Mahal. Can you hear me?
You're breaking up a bit, and also you should not assume that I know everything. So one thing I find out when I'm listening to Harsha and a merry band, I would say, is how much I learn and how much I love to learn, actually. I was talking to a woman entrepreneur in Africa at the same time as listening to you. And I wonder whether there could be some synergy between what you're doing and her.
Yes, sure.
Did you get that okay?
Yes, sure. Let me answer. Yeah.
So
we are working in the shoe sector in Agra. Agra, as you know, it is famous for Taj Mahal, and also it is famous for the shoe manufacturing. And since very long period, lot of artisans are involved in the shoe making, and there are very small units which are making home-based by handmade shoes. And many times this industry is dying down. Slowly it is coming down and down. And here the important thing is how do we help these artisans to get a market? And also there is a gap of technology know-how. They don't know what is the latest technology. Sometimes they don't know there are government schemes for them. So how do they access those government schemes? So we are helping them to understand, identifying the entrepreneur, connecting them with the government scheme. Also, Mr. Hopkins, we have collaborated with one government institute that is called Central Footwear Training institute. It is in it is a government institute, CFTI. It is called CFTI in Agra. So they are also giving a lot of training in our association on the production side, how to improve the quality of shoes. What is the difference between a resin and a leather? How the quality of shoes can be improved. So all this training we are giving, and also we are also connecting them with the online market because they don't know how to do online marketing. So we are connecting them with the reputed good companies so that they get some orders and they are able to give the orders to the online companies, and these online companies, they will sell in the larger market. So that is the current thinking we have in mind, and obviously the responsible business part, that the working condition and the other conditions are also be taken care in our units.
Very similar advice to the ones advice I was giving to my the person here who'd approached me. Possibly a market opportunity for you both. Perhaps you could send me some photos of some of the fashionable shoes that you have, and then I can put you in contact and then see how it goes. It might not go anywhere, as you know, in life things, but it's just an idea I had as you were talking. And the other things that you mentioned, my questions are probably more academic actually than practical. Anyway, Harsha will have my details. So do send me some photos and let me put you in contact with my contact.
Sure.
And let's see how that goes. But my other question was, when you were talking, we discuss a lot about sustainable enterprises, which is an enterprise that when it receives the initial donation or investment, actually doesn't come back after a year and ask for more, because it starts to become sustainable. It starts to raise its own finance or whatever. And I wonder, you didn't mention that in your remarks. I imagine after listening to you that you've certainly been thinking about that. So I'd be very interested to know what sorts of issues. Some people call this sustainability, but then it gets confused with the question of environment. So the words that we use, and I think we're all guilty of using words in different senses. But so my first question is that how do you work on introducing sustainable enterprises in your work? The second thing you mentioned was women in manufacturing. I wonder what level and is there resistance in the part of India where you're working? And then my third is more of a comment, which is, as my friends around the table here know, is that I've been writing about women and gender issues, and I've written a paper which I can share with you, which is quite radical. I think women are going to take over the world. You see, they've been repressed for so long, and of course by men, and because of that they've become stronger. And as all of us around the table here know, that working with women, especially Harsha, actually is very, very stimulating. She leads the way, certainly leads me, that's for sure. So I wonder if you're seeing that and what you think about that rather radical statement. But so three things I've mentioned: sustainable enterprise, the resistance to women, if so, and the third thing about the future of women. And then the fourth thing, I've said three things, but the fourth thing is something on shoes. So sorry, quite a mouthful, but I always get stimulated when I listen to conversations from people such as yourself that Harsha continually brings on board. I think is absolutely wonderful. And congratulations to Harsha, as always, having you here with us, as well as my friends, Dr. KK and others, and Sushil and so on. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Hopkins. And I will try to answer my best to my understanding, what I have understood. So coming ladies first, I will answer that question first. So, so women, of course, as you are asking that which level, obviously, see, we are working in Agra, in Uttar Pradesh. which has a, I would say, lot of challenges, societal challenges. In the societal terms, there are a lot of discrimination that is very, very prominent and visible if you go to some of these areas, and the kind of gender discrimination, caste discrimination, class discrimination, lot of things are there. And we are trying to work with the SC, scheduled caste women, because what we have seen that we are partnering with some NGOs out there, and we are trying to identify such women who are interested in this kind of a shoe manufacturing, and for the first time they will be getting into this kind of occupation or training, which will be provided by CFTI or will be provided under foundation, our foundation. And we will be arranging some machines and some government schemes with the help of CFTI. It will be a collaborated project actually, and the online agency marketing agency will even IICSR can tie up with us in this. So it can be a joint project. And what we will see that these women are manufacturing. They know from where to buy the products also, because there are because what we want to see, any person will become sustainable. It will become a sustainable enterprise only if they know the whole dimension of the business. Many times if we see that NGOs, they are driving the communities, and sometimes where to buy the product, how to sell the product, what is the right. So our role is to facilitate this process so that they buy in aggregate manner. They are getting cheaper collective bargaining. They are able to buy collectively. Then machine is coming from the government. Training is given by the government. Some portion is given by our foundation, and the manufacturing is done in an NGO premise, which is free of cost. Then the sales is happening through an online agency. So everybody has a role, and everybody is winning in this situation. It's a win-win situation for everybody, and that is, I think, it will sustain. And our role will be to move out. So our role after a few years, when the women are trained and when the NGO is capacitated, we will be moving out. And that is how I think the whole cycle will continue, and we will go to some other area. So that is my answer to your few questions. And eventually women will take up, but I tell you, the Indian scenario, the rural places, still there is lot of challenges. Still there are a lot of issues that you hear in media. I don't want to name, but it is a big challenge, and women are helping each other, and self-help groups are being formed. Now FPOs are being formed, but the models are also very few. So it is our responsibility as a development workers that we create more models. We are trying, see, wherever at least I go, we create models, we do FPOs, groups, self-help groups, and we promote them. I think that is my answer to your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Hopkins, for the string of questions. And at your age, I can say that you're very young because you still have that quotient of curiosity, which youngsters don't have, but you have. So you're still very young at heart and mind. May I request Dr. Upadhyay and then Amit Verma and Sushil sir to please ask a question, sir.
Thank you, Harsha. I should interject here. I'm only 3 times her age, so it's okay.
Thanks, Harsha. Thanks, Harsha, for nice introduction to Ravi. It's always a pleasure to meet him. The best thing, let me tell the listeners about Ravi is he's very attached to the ground. That's why he talks more about NGOs and the beneficiaries, SC, STs and others, and less about corporates. So my difficult question to you is, Ravi, see, at NGO level, they're learning a little bit after COVID to work together. But that's not happening at the corporate level. can corporate CSRs work with each other? As you mentioned about collaboration, can they be part of bigger collaboration between the grassroots NGOs, which you said has self-help groups and these women and others, and then the government? Because working with government, a lot of especially NGOs find it very difficult. And then the third party to have CSR or the corporate. Do you agree with me? We can work out some type of solution to this. And can this really happen? Over to you, Ravi.
See, yes, Dr. Upadhyay, what my thinking is, very frankly, I would say, see, CSR, as you see in India, it is also a new phenomena. It's a new thing that is happening, and it will take a lot of time, I would say. That see what happened, that you have seen many traditional NGOs who are like Mathadish or the like the stalwarts. Yeah, they are the Mathadish, what we call sometimes Mathadish stalwarts. They know so much because they have worked in the grassroots. Their main work was development. But here, on the other side, if you see the corporates, their main work is not this thing. Okay, so many corporates, if they are having people like me, maybe who, because I come from a grassroots background and all this, so I always try to convince them that okay, this is important, or these grassroots changes are there, challenges are there. So this will take time. It will take time for the corporates, people like us, who are always convincing our corporate people, and they are also very ready to listen because they have to see their own work also. That is their prime, and at the same time they have to manage the CSR also. So it will take time, and slowly that trust will develop. Slowly that maturity will come in all of us, and then only this collaboration will happen. Otherwise, sure. now this collaboration, it is very initial stage, and some big players, maybe the bigger giants, the bigger CSR money holders or fund holders, they should take the initiatives, like big banks or PSUs, because somebody has to give them direction. That collaboration, complementary roles are very important. Everything one cannot do and one should not do. That collaboration will happen, and somebody has to take that torch.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you, sir. Amit Tripathi.
Thanks, Harshita. Sorry, I'm keeping my video off because of the internet instability over here. So first of all, I would like to thank Ravi to giving us one of very good phrase, that raise friends and then raise funds. That will be helpful for youngsters like me and Harsha and others. So Ravi, I just have one question to you. Is, there's a lots of noise around achieving sustainable development goals, and I just want to understand from your perspective that how corporate world is looking after them to achieve them, because 2030 is too near, and probably India is too far to achieve all the SDGs. And this CSR Act, they have already mentioned some of the broad pointers in Schedule 7, and what I think that it might be limiting to achieve all the SDGs, but I just want to understand from your perspective that how corporate world is looking to achieve the SDGs. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Amit. I was reading somewhere that due to Corona, it is being said that the goal of 2030 will go 40 years behind. I was reading it somewhere. It will go 40 years behind. It was mentioned in that news. I don't know how this is the result of COVID, that will help, which will happen to the achievement of the goal of the SDGs. It is not possible now. It is very difficult because of the COVID, because it has created a lot of challenges. The companies are growing, but the gap between the rich and poor has grown more. It was surprising to read another article. Companies have grown, sir, but the rich and poor gap has grown. That is another challenge. So we have to see the companies, the corporates. See, as I told you, Amit, that it is the initial stage. The CSR is only like not even a decade, means legally. Earlier they were doing CSR, but it will take time. It will take some more years or decades to understand the whole essence. See, it is not easy that the law is made and the essence is coming. Okay, in the NGOs it was different because they started for the voluntary. Their whole 100% work was that they have to do the development work. But here there is a difference. So there will always be some kind of a limitation. But SDG definitely agencies like this Harshita is also UN Global Compact Network. She is also part of it, and Upadhyay ji is also part of it. I am also very closely associated with UNGCI, United Nations Global. Kamal ji was a very good friend. So all these people, they are there, and we have to be working closely with the agencies like this, or even IICSR. So that the SDGs, the whole essence of SDG, Harsha itself is an ambassador of SDG. I saw that Harshita, that she herself is doing a lot of work on the SDGs. So we all have to join hands, collaborate with each other, and companies definitely, at least in our foundation, we are ensuring that we are understanding what is the SDG, how we are contributing, and how we can do better to achieve the SDG goal. And obviously, partnership is one of the key areas which I think is happening here now with you all guys.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you so much, Amit, for the question, and thank you for the kind words, Ravi sir. Sushil sir, would you have some questions? So you're on mute.
Sir, you're mute here.
It's great to be with Mr. Ravi. I was very coolly and calmly listening the inspirational work he has done, focused on MSMEs. Let me share that entire life of mine been with a mega organization like NTPC. And NTPC, well, they are in Jharkhand, and you know it well.
Yes.
Now, we started, in fact, the first NGO in NTPC that was formed by we employ ourselves in 1989. Chetna. It is in Rehand station of NTPC in present Sonbhadra district, or earlier we can say Mirzapur district. Now, Bhadoi, you know well, is known for carpet.
Yes.
And way back in 1992, we collaborated with Bhadoi and set up 20 carpet weaving machines involving villagers of the project.
Very good.
Now, the quality of carpet which was coming, Rehand being funded by UK 100%, we had almost 300 plus UK citizens working with us at Rehand project. 100% of the carpet that time were being taken by those people and all gone to UK. Now, presently I am in Gujarat, and Gujarat is known for Amul in addition to multi-brands. Amul is nothing but a cluster of MSMEs, or I say micro enterprises. Right. With this background, I have one good news for everyone. In fact, I am a governing council member in Quality Circle Forum of India. So last week we were having our council meeting, and then QCFI at national level is going to launch a beneficial learning and enriching program for MSMEs and target countrywide takenage to reach to 1 lakh MSMEs.
Very
support 1 lakh MSMEs, sharing with them with very, very nominal charges. They will not be professional QCFI charges. There will be special charges for MSMEs and separate rates for different clusters. And plan is to empower them with 5S, empower with them Kaizen, and then take them to next stage, that is lean quality circles. So in next years, QCFI targets to shoulder the responsibility and empower MSMEs.
Very good.
I think people like you, being on other side of the coin, I will say in between the beneficiaries and the QCFI, have a great role and responsibility to shoulder it.
Sure, sir.
Mr. Ravi, how will it be possible? It will be launched in a month's time, countrywide.
So sir,
Harsha, she is doing fantastic work. Let me admit, at first, she is doing excellent work. I am also learning through this platform as well. And wherever opportunities comes, we will try our best to contribute.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, please. Mr. Ravi.
Definitely, sir. This MSME and QCFI, it's a very good combination, I would say, because the quality is important. And if we are able to improve the quality or give them some kind of a training, because see, we are already working as a foundation. We are working with the milk producers, the milk farmers, dairy farmers, the shoe sector, the food, kirana sector, the other sectors also we are trying to work. And definitely we can explore what is there coming up in QCFI and micro enterprise. As I told you, our foundation is focusing on the advancement. So anything to do with the advancement of micro enterprise is more than a welcome, and collaboration is must important in this thing.
That's great. So let's wait for some light will be there definitely in the tunnel.
Sure.
Otherwise, you all are looking as black. So it won't be black. Youngsters like Harsha, they are big energy, big force, big determination, and vision with passion. There will definitely be a change which every one of us will relish. Thank you, Harsha.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Sushil sir. May I invite one of the youngest participants over here, Mr. Shubham, to please come forth and ask his question.
Thank you, ma'am. And good evening, everyone. And Ravi sir, like your work experience has been tremendous and indeed an inspiration for us. Sir, so my question is quite naive. So first question is, how do you assess credit worthiness of micro enterprise? I know like you have been dealing with community development. So, but there might be some of the procedure to how do you assess the credit worthiness, like while giving a loan or any finances to micro enterprise. And the second thing is, you're talking about working with NGOs and comparing with foreign countries, like government providing a lot of aid to NGOs. So there in India, like there has been a lack of political will to elevate and uplift the NGOs. So do you also address the lack of maintenance and infrastructure of the NGOs while working with the rural sector?
Okay, Shubham, see, first of all, as a foundation, you know that foundation, it is for a not-for-profit sector.
Yes.
And we don't get into giving loans to the micro enterprises. Okay. So that can be done either by finance companies or banks or financial institutions. But as a foundation, we don't give any loans. Okay. If anything will be given, it will be as a seed capital or a grant or a free money. Okay. It will never be a loan, because that will create another challenge for us. So we don't get into this. And there are other companies. There are companies who are giving microfinance or bank loans or things, and they do their own due diligence. See, their due diligence in general sense, I will tell you, anybody who is giving the money will see whether it is having a own asset, own property, own machinery, skill is there or not, some collateral is there or not, or sometimes without collateral, can they take the risk to give the money? Then paperwork is there, legal work is there. So several kind of due diligence, experience of the person taking the loan, his background, all things are checked, and then only a loan is or any money is given. Even to the grants that we give, Shubham, when we give to the NGOs, whoever being in a donor agencies also, we do so much due diligence. We go to the previous project, we look at their track record, we talk to other donors, how is this NGO, whether it is good or not. So many cross verification, we call it triangulations. A lot of things are done, even for grants. Then you think, you can imagine when in grant we are asking so many questions, then in a loan, how many questions will be there?
Yes, sir.
And the second question, I did not understand much, but as I told you, see the grassroots NGOs, they are always in a challenge, because they don't have any fixed kind of assurance from anybody that you will get your salary, you will get your rent, the staff. You see many NGOs now, they have many NGO workers have lost their jobs in COVID, and nobody is there to take care of them. They were working for the community, but nobody is caring about them now. So that is the reality of the situation. Their their families, their whole children, all are in a difficult situation right now. The funding is scarce. The funding is reduced. Foreign funding is reduced. Government funding is also curtailed. Even CSR fundings are limited because companies are also not having so much profits nowadays because of COVID. So a lot of challenges are there. I think that is my answer to your question, what I have understood.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, if I may, if we have time, can I ask one more question?
Harshita can, yes, you can ask. Harshita, is it fine?
Sure, sure.
Sir, okay, so you're talking about working with SC, like uplifting SC communities. So from where I belong, so there are a lot of ST communities, scheduled tribes. So I belong from Chhattisgarh. So uplifting them and collaborating with them is a very difficult task. Like you're talking about making friendship with them, then after raising a fund. So how do we make that first step? Like even though like there are a lot of products, tribal products like wood artifacts and all, there are a lot of artisans. So how do we make that first step? Because as a community, as a ST community, they're very afraid because they have been isolated for quite a long time. So how do you make that first step toward trust?
So what my suggestion, I know that Harshita and Upadhyay ji are also working a lot on this, but from my side, I will tell you that Chhattisgarh is a tribal area, largely a tribal area.
Yes.
And there is a series like no age-long discrimination that they have faced. It's like a generation of discrimination and depression and all this exploitation has been taken place. So you have to be careful, and we have to win the hearts. You have to work genuinely. If you are working with as a CSR or as a bigger NGO, you have to appoint local staff. Okay, that is the way that you appoint a local staff. You can take their products. Online is one medium. Either you can develop your own website if you are having the knowledge or having the connections, or you can connect with other Flipkart or Amazon also. That is another opportunity that many are doing nowadays, and it will take time. See, if the work is unique, I tell you, if the work is unique, then you will get amazing results in online. But if it is a general product, then you have to go directly to the market, because in online only the special products they catch attention. So you have to understand. That's what I was telling Harshita, that digital marketing course in future everything will be digital. We are already now digital. We never imagined that we will meet like this, but we are doing meeting like this. We are doing webinars like this. Before COVID, no, we never thought. It was occasional. It was with foreign countries only we used to do this. But within India, we are doing this. It is unimaginable.
Yes,
so that is my advice, and be in touch with organizations like IICSR. They are a resource bank. They know, they have experienced people also, and they will also guide you. I think about IICSR kind of organization.
Thank you so much, sir.
I'd like to thank you, Shubham, for the question. Thank you, Ravi sir, for addressing all the questions so patiently and being with us and sharing your valuable time and part of your life. with all of us. And I'd like to especially thank all our panelists over here who made the time for this session: Dr. Hopkins, Dr. Upadhyay, Sushil sir, Shubham, Mr. Jameel Khan. Thank you so much for being with us today. And we wish you all the best in the coming endeavors. And yes, we do look forward to working together with iFinance, and I will write to you on this.
Same here,
Thank you.
same here. Same here. It is a wonderful conversation with all of you. And lovely to have Dr. Hopkins. I can see that he is very curious person. He has asked good question to me. Thank you, Dr. Hopkins. Dr. K.K. Upadhyay, always an inspiration for people like me. We look forward to him. He's a motivation to us. And other panelists, other people who are present. I am really thankful for this honor. And we should work together because we are from the development sector. And I tell you, whether we are from government or from the CSR or from the NGO, we are all one, same people. We have to collaborate. No competition,
Yes.
only collaboration.
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.